That's why,
Well,
I want to come back. We're going to come back and go in the weeds some other time.
Okay, that's a great idea, because that really is
Because we talked about the bureaucracy,
Yeah.
but the bureaucracy is the reason why little black boys can't read in school and they drop out of high school.
It's the reason why, because like I'm talking about this issue when I should be talking about what I did in the classroom to move students 3 and 4 years.
Right.
And so that's the most important thing. And this is what our veteran teachers who are being displaced can do without any fanfare. They've had the experience. So what I did was I addressed the social emotional needs of the students within the classroom. And I did some kind of unconventional things. I had my own little programs that work with the kind of children that I was teaching. And those children are, they reflect all of us who grew up in these neighborhoods. So I know what I liked as a kid growing up in public housing. I dealt with students that were similar, and many cases identical. So what are my needs? I'm dealing with social emotional kind of needs first. And so once we address those things, and I have a self-monitoring program that I'm getting ready to market, and how do we simply teach children who do not have parental support, who do not, but are bright and intelligent, to move on in life? And so that's what I started doing. I started talking about developing this program based upon the needs of one of my students.
But it was effective.
It was effective. I will tell you, this student came to me, he was 6% in reading. And he said, he was so animated, and I said, why can't you sit? And he said, I'm trying, Miss Chatonda, but I just don't know how. And that struck a chord. I was going to the University of Chicago through the Sesame program, and we developed a program to address the needs of students who couldn't sit. And it was basically simple. We did self-monitoring. So every time the student was on task, they would get some kind of incentive, a sticker, a reward. That reward gets bigger and bigger on a weekly and monthly and annual basis. So I would go to the store and buy all kinds of things on the first week, and we would teach a student, say for instance, you can't sit in your seat. So every day that you have mastery on that task, I'm going to give you, it's a chart that goes on a sticker. And
this is for 2nd, 3rd graders? What?
Well, it's a sticker, but
this is for the smaller kids though, right?
For 3rd grade. I was in 3rd grade. I develop it, but we also do other rewards for older children.
For the older ones, yeah.
It wouldn't be a sticker.
Yeah, sticker's not going to excite me.
30 minutes, but we did journaling as well. So those journals would go home to the parents. And like if this student, the parent would always know whether you're acting up, because who writes the journal? The student.
Right.
So if a parent comes and said, my child can't do A, B, and C, or there's a problem, we look in the journal and say, oh, well, he was having difficulty on this day, he had a great day this day. And what it did was empower the student.
Right.
So the student could now say, if I can stay on task for one day, we start small, and that in increments weekly. In increments, we would go weekly. Now, after 28 days, there's mastery. So if a student has managed to break or kick the habit in 28 days, it's a big fanfare. And then we continue to monitor that behavior. And then we say to the student, is there something else you want to work on? Can't get to school on time. So now we start addressing that. Every day, excuse me, that student comes in, and he is on task, then that student gets rewarded. So by the end of the year, a lot of times the student has addressed about 5 or 6 deviant behaviors that they have, things that are holding them back. But what they learn from this process is that I can change my behavior. I do not have to. And another strategy that I use is like I call top up. So at the beginning of the year, and I learned this from a professor that I had, I would give the students a report card, a kind of fake report card, but it would have every student's name and they would all have A's. And I would say to them, if you do all of your assignments and this is what your report card will look like. And I didn't make the lessons difficult, I gradually made them difficult. And so they would start off getting some things and they would get mastery on that. Well, now I'm building self-confidence. So at the end of the year, when the student comes, they are working so hard because when I go home with straight A's, mom's happy, they're going to be rewarded, they're going to look at the child differently. I've got a smart child. So the child begins to understand that if I do these things, that I can achieve mastery and, I can excel in what I do.
Your confidence goes up.
And this is what we're telling people, we're doing it wrong. When you come in and you fail everybody and you say to them they can't achieve, well, they're not going to achieve.
And some teachers, let's face it, some teachers not really sensitive, or they wasn't raised in neighborhoods like this. They don't understand the children. It's like me. I'm raised in the African American community. I've been African American for 51 years. If I went to Latino school, somebody had to teach me. Exactly. If I went to all white school, somebody got to teach me.
Exactly.
They are cultural barriers.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people don't understand black children.
Right. I think that they don't understand them, and I hate to say this, they demonize them because of the lack of understanding. They see them in a different light.
Right.
And I think that, like I said, you have to, in order to understand our people, you have to see them through the heart because they have so many issues. And like people talk about the parent, I raised 4 kids for a while. Half of that time I was a single parent. My heart goes out to the parents.
So wait. I'm hard on single black women, so I should stop it.
Oh, please do.
I'm hard on single black women. Maybe I'm insensitive because I always think that some black women, grandmothers, mothers, they do a poor job raising their boys, and it's really not their fault, right?
Well, they're overwhelmed.
Yeah.
They're not getting the support of the community. People are telling them that their children are not good kids. Yeah. I was blessed because when I had my children were very smart. I married a smart man. So I got very intelligent children. So they were welcome in the schools and they weren't behavior problems.
When you have a child that's a behavior problem, everybody just like, get that kid out to school, right. Suspensions, they trouble.
And this is why we developed the program, the You Must, because, and that was the name of the program, the Universal Middle School Student Teaching Tool. And we developed that because of children like that. Because I always go in, I know that all children, having taught over thousands of children, I know that every child wants to be good. And I know they don't know how. Like my student told me, I want to do this, but I just don't know how.
But see, but through these schools, I'm not picking on any school, the school behind us, any public school. Are they really trying to help the parent and the child with their daily habits, their routines, their rituals? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that is what's going to make
stuff that's outside the classroom. You know what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah. The thing about the program that I developed is that we have a parent kit. And it works anywhere. A parent can do this. They don't have to be in school. They can have the chart in their room. I have a teacher that lives right down the street, a friend of mine that works, and she said, give me one of those charts. And she monitored her children at home with this chart, and every time they did something positive, because then the parents are engaged and they get an opportunity to be involved in what the children are doing. And this is another way to check in. Now that we have technology and the cell phones that we didn't have when I originally developed this, it's a very easy way to do it online on your cell phone and all of those
people,
things.
we can call you, right? If I put your phone number up, people can call you?
Yes.
All right, cool. And this is this is not for profit, right? We got to tell public access, this is not for profit, we ain't making no money,
Yes.
But the people call you for but what I'm trying to get is that we have African Americans, we're individuals. We're not a cohesive group.
Yes.
So who are the advocates for black children in Chicago?
Philip Jackson is one.
Yeah, Philip. And you. I'm just trying to say it's not enough of us out. Who's advocating for these children?
And he doesn't get a lot of support.
Some say who's advocating? Like this is Horace Mann in this neighborhood here. How do we go? And I'm not picking a Horace Mann because I never met Mr. Porter. I may go inside and meet him after this interview. But how do we go in and help these children in the schools? Are we just a resident? Community resident? What do we do?
Well, I think people just don't know what to do.
I don't know what to do.
I think it's a little bit easier than they think it is.
Okay.
And I think that if we begin, first of all, we need to have that paradigm shift and stop looking at each other from a prison of this person is no good.
Right. Okay.
This black.
I do that.
Yeah, and like you said with the women, I mean, my heart goes out to the mothers because, you know, I know the struggle that they have.
We shouldn't judge people, right?
No, I think
we should be more compassionate.
We need to support them.
Yeah.
We need to support them, and we will see. You know, a lot of times I didn't have children out of wedlock. A lot of people say, and I was finished college when I had, and I was married, so why not? Why can't I have children? But when people see that you're alone, they want to put that tag on you. Oh, she's got 4 kids, she's this, and they just assume. So I had to deal with that as well.
And some parents, I'm sorry to cut you off, Rosita. Some parents are not really strong enough to, and then remember, they feel their self-esteem may be kind of low, or they're not really educated, and you go talk to the principals, and they making big money, and everybody educated, you're kind of intimidated by that.
Yes.